Last week we discussed why the box jump is overrated. This week, when you saw that depth jump from a 51-inch drop plus 24 more inches in added height, so maybe around 75 inches, you might have thought that it was either impressive or that, ouch, I might actually get hurt doing this. If you notice closely, this is actually the same video I used for a box jump, and it's worth mentioning that I have a 29-inch approach vertical at this point in time compared to today where I have a 35.5-inch vertical. And much like the box jump, I think that the depth jump is something that is used by many trainers, and in this video, I'll discuss why depth jumps are very overrated in my opinion for athletes. So firstly, depth jumps are also known as a plyometric. If you watched last week's video, you know that according to the father of plyometrics, Yuri Verkhoshansky, and this is literally verbatim of what I said last week, every plyometric ideally should have a landing and a takeoff mechanism that takes place throughout a movement and is done repetitively for a certain amount of reps and or distance. When analyzing a depth jump, there definitely is a landing of some sort that happens as well as a takeoff once that landing happens. However, you risk not having repetition, which is, again, an important part of the fundamental theory of plyometrics, which is rebounding from the floor and coming back after landing, because you land once and you take off once when you land. You could argue that you could just immediately do another jump to get the repetitive motion going, but at that point, in my opinion, I would just be on flat ground and just take off and land immediately. Take off again until I meet my distance rep guideline. Additionally, when you land, you might land in a way that is technically inefficient in that the way that you land and then take off is not smooth. And it could be prevented by first being able to understand how to land and take off on a really relaxed exercise. And link for understanding what I'm talking about is put in the description from one of the people that I've learned in terms of plyometrics named Matt McInnes Watson. But anyways, the other flaw of depth jumps is that the height that most people set it at is way too high to be safe, efficient, and translate well towards your goal. When we go to a depth jump that is high enough, our body compensates in many ways when it lands. In the sense of our tendons, this is a heavy recoil and deflection of the foot, which could prove to be too much for you and could get you injured if you're not prepared for it. And not to be mean, but a lot of people aren't prepared for it, even me to be honest. Besides that, if you go at a high enough box, your landing actually can become deep, defeating the entire purpose of depth jumps in the first place, which is to have a shock landing and then immediately take off to be able to produce more force at a faster rate into the ground eventually. So are there any benefits to depth jumps? Provided that you set the height you're dropping from to just above your current vertical, as well as being technically efficient in how you land and take off, depth jumps can provide some benefits. For instance, if you're recovering from an injury, using boxes can reduce landing load if you put it below your vertical in that case, and then eventually progress to being able to handling landings and takeoffs at the height of your vertical or somewhere near that amount. When paired with other training variables, depth jumps can prove to help build neural and physical shock into the system, allowing the body to take more intensity into account. So think about maybe doing a back squat and then doing a superset of depth jumps before taking a rest per set, as that could be beneficial in the long run for you. And with that being said, my name is DSheth, and I want to be the best athlete I can ever be, if not beyond that. Like every other social media guy out there, I have to say, put social in the description, like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon if you like my type of content, as this channel is going to be all about exercise science, athletic performance, and my journey towards those ideals that I built myself up to. You can click on this video right now to look at why box jumps are overrated. This is DSheth and my perspective. I love jumping high.